This is a short lesson on dependent subjunctives, focusing on indirect questions. Indirect questions are very similar to indirect statements and indirect commands in that all three are substantive clauses, in that they are noun clauses. And a quick review, what I mean when I say they are noun clauses, for an indirect statement, the indirect statement is an object of verbs of saying, of thinking, hearing, perceiving. So I think that Cicero is still talking. I say that Caesar is brave. I heard that Pompey has fled to Egypt. Every single one of those things that you say, think, or hear is the answer to the question, what? What do I say? That Caesar is brave. What do I think? That Cicero is still talking. What did I hear? That Pompey has already fled to Egypt. Each one of those statements, those indirect statements, that Pompey fled to Egypt, that Cicero is still talking, that Caesar is brave, each one of those is a long accusative. So it's the direct object of another verb, of thinking, saying, perceiving, hearing, etc., which we call head verbs. Indirect statements, the subject of the indirect statement is an accusative and the verb is an infinitive. We also had indirect commands, where indirect commands, substantive clauses, dependent upon verbs of commanding, ordering, asking, persuading. I persuade the Helvetians so that they may leave from their territory. I am asking you so that you stop screaming. I order the soldiers not to, so that they not pitch camp beside the forest. So each one of those can be answered, like the indirect statement, by answering the question, what? What did I order the soldiers not to do? Pitch camp near the forest. What am I asking you not to do? Stop screaming. So like indirect statements and indirect commands, indirect questions are substantive clauses. They answer the question, what? What am I asking? What am I inquiring? What am I telling? What am I knowing? So these are dependent upon verbs of asking, inquiring, telling, and knowing. So it's easiest when you put these indirect questions right next to direct questions. Direct questions, they're direct questions introduced by an interrogative. And if you have an English editor, you'll usually see a question mark at the end. Quis es? Who are you? Cur id fecisti? Why did you do this? So instead of asking a direct question, who are you? Why did you do this? With a question mark, like an indirect statement or indirect command, we're going to recast this direct question, this direct interrogative, indirectly. It will be dependent upon a verb of asking, inquiring, telling, or knowing. Just like an indirect statement is the object of verbs of saying, speaking, knowing, hearing, perceiving, feeling. So realize that Latin verbs don't just take one clause. Latin verbs can take several clauses based upon how the Roman feels the Latin verb should work. So it's not so good to get a list of verbs and memorize the list of verbs trying to figure out what clause each verb can take, because it can change on the situation. Moneo can take an indirect statement, an indirect command, or an indirect question based upon context. So context is key. So let's look at these again. Quis es? Who are you? Indirect question. Rogo quis sis? So instead of the indicative, es, you are, who are you? Rogo quis sis? I am asking. Present tense. Quis sis? We keep the interrogative the same. We change this indicative verb to the subjunctive. So notice there's no ut or ne. The negative for these will be ne, but it's introduced by the interrogative. Kur id fecisti? Why'd you do it? Skio kur id feceris? I know why you did it. I know, present tense, present time, right now. Kur id feceris? Why you did it. Why'd you do it? Direct question. I'm directly asking you. I know why you did it. An indirect question, because it's dependent upon this main verb, skio, in the indicative. Once again, if you've been paying attention, these will follow sequence of tenses. Primary sequence and secondary sequence, just like with fearing clauses. So if your main verb, your introductory verb of asking, inquiring, telling, or knowing is present tense, present subjunctive, imperative, future indicative, or future perfect indicative, then in the dependent subjunctive clause, in the indirect question, you will have either the present subjunctive for actions which are contemporaneous, same time, or subsequent to the main introductory verb. So, skio quid facias, I know what facias, present tense, present subjunctive, you are doing right now at the same time, contemporaneous to when I know about it. I know right now what you are doing right now at the same time. We will use the perfect subjunctive for prior actions to the main introductory verb. So, I know present time what you did, what you have already done prior to the present time, to me finding out about it. Skiam, let's try the future. I will know what you are doing right now when I said it. So in the future time, I will know what you are doing. I will know what you did, what you have done. Present subjunctive for contemporaneous or subsequent action to the main verb. Perfect subjunctive for prior action to the main verb. And then for secondary sequence, if our main verb, our introductory verb of asking, inquiring, telling, or knowing is imperfect, perfect, or pluperfect tense, then it will be followed by either the imperfect subjunctive for contemporaneous or subsequent action to the main introductory verb, or the pluperfect subjunctive to show prior action to the main introductory verb. So, skiwi, I knew, quid faceres, what you were doing at the same time as when I found out about it in the past, or I knew what you, fecises, had already done prior to me finding out about it.